In the last episode, me and Robbie installed the half cage, bucket seats, racing wheel, and our inline hydraulic handbrake. I'll be welding the diff, installing a full Wisefab narrow kit, throwing on some rear adjustable tow arms, and cutting the muffler off. Let's get to it. I really hate to be admitting this right now, but this is the first time I'll be seeing this car up on a lift. I have not put it up on the lift yet. Fingers crossed, we don't have subframe damage or frame damage or any other type of weird damage. If it's cosmetic stuff, don't really care about that. Worst case scenario, if we got a damaged front subframe, I got a replacement, but again, it's just time, effort, money, so on and so forth. So we're gonna be finding out together whether we have a 100% car or not. One of the first things that I noticed was a pretty decent oil leak, pretty standard. Looks like all over the subframe, but one thing I do, speaking of the subframe, usually when these have been kind of like in a wreck or in a weird thing, the control arm mounts here and here, those are, you know, typically kind of bent, but good news is this subframe looks like it wasn't in any type of an accident. It's just covered in oil, so that's good news. I did kind of notice the radiator fan is just kind of chilling, so I'm gonna have to fix that. Some type of like an exhaust system. I don't know exactly what brand. For right now, I just wanna focus on getting the angle kit on the front suspension, and I wanna get this diff welded. And like I said, if we have time, you know, maybe I'll make like a straight pipe or something like that, or just at least for now, I'll probably just, you know, detach the exhaust here and then probably cut a little turn or a little bend out of that notch right there and just make a little quick turn down. So first things first, let's get this diff out, get it all locked up. All right, looks like we're gonna have to get the exhaust out of the way because it's kind of slightly in the way of like our axle. So I'm gonna get this out, and then we can start moving on to unbolting the axles. From the axles, we can start unbolting the drive shaft, and then from the drive shaft, then we can start taking the diff out. Yep, just like that. That wasn't a good idea. Oh well, I can fix that. Good thing I know how to weld. All right, so now let's start disconnecting those axles. We got the axles all apart. Let's see if we can get to that drive shaft. All right, so now we got our drive shaft disconnected. We can go ahead and get this diff out of the car, and it looks like we got a bolt back here as well as 2 bolts up front there. Also looks like that attaches the exhaust. So really, really close. All right, so there we have it. One E92 diff. Looks like diff ratio on this one, 323. Not very desirable, unfortunately. I'm really not liking that 323 diff ratio scenario. I actually have a couple of complete subframes that I've torn out of like previous E92 builds up in my loft here. I think I might have a 373 diff. Hopefully, I know for a fact I do have a 335 diff which basically won't work, but I have them right here, and it looks like, let me see. Yeah, that was the one that came out of the 335. This is the one that came out of another E92, but let me see, what ratio is this? Oh dude, it's a 373, and it's, yo, I think this is gonna work. I'm so glad that I saved that entire rear E92 subframe assembly, especially with that diff, because usually all the other cars that I've built, I've just ripped those out and I've just thrown them away. And now I'm so glad that I saved it. But I would rather use that 373 gear instead of that current one that's the 323, just for the simple reason I think it's just gonna be easier on the motor to turn the wheels. And then, you know, instead of drifting in second gear, maybe we can get it up to third gear. We'll see. But I would rather do that gear swap, diff change, weld diff stuff now while everything's apart and I'm already in the mood. So we're gonna go ahead and take apart that 373 diff out of that subframe, bring it down here, clean it all up, and start the process of welding that diff instead of the 323. All right, there it is. Got that 373 diff out. All right, now that I got this cover off, I can show you guys what it looks like in here. Although initially it feels a little bit scratchy, like I think there was some dirt inside the diff. Not really too worried about it. I mean, the gears look good, and for what we're doing, it should be fine. But not really stoked on that, but I'll get this all cleaned out as much as I can. You can see in here, this is obviously a open diff. And when I say open diff, you can see there's spider gears in here. While we're draining the oil in this diff, I wanted to explain to you guys why we weld diffs in a drift car. Obviously, in this type of a car, it doesn't have a welded diff. It has a spool. The difference is the spool does not have spider gears. This is an open diff, meaning it has spider gears in it that let each wheel kind of rotate this way, or even one lock up and one rotate. So if I'm the engine and if I am the drive shaft and I grab the passenger side wheel, notice how the driver's side still can spin. Or even if I grab the driver's side, notice how the passenger side can spin. Or even, you can even see how I can even rotate them this way as well. And we don't want that in a drift car. We don't want like a one wheel peel deal, because that's essentially what's happening like this. You're getting a one wheel burnout, or even vice versa, one wheel burnout this way, depending on which wheel has more traction or which tire has more traction. We want to lock that. We want it to be like this all of the time. So that's why we weld a diff. If you've been enjoying this build series so far and you enjoy this style of content, or you want to see more content on my Comp E92, or just more builds that I'm doing in the shop, because I have a lot lined up, be sure and hit that subscribe button. Also give this video a like, helps me out a bunch. And also hit that notifications bell, so every time I post a video, you'll be notified. Now that we got all the oil out of the diff, we can go ahead, let's clean it up. I'm gonna degrease the whole inside, get as much oil and residue out of the diff as I possibly can. And also, while we're cleaning it up, we'll clean up the exterior and get it all prepped up and ready for welding. Although I am going to have to cut some plates that will fit in between the spider gears that we can weld. As you can see, we need a plate there, and we need a plate on the other side as well. But first, let's get as much oil as we possibly can, because as we're welding, we don't want any contaminants or any oil residue that will obviously contaminate the weld. So right now I was basically just cutting up a paper template for our plate we're gonna put in here, and it looks like this is gonna be the size I need. So now I'm gonna go ahead, get this into the computer, make a file, and we'll cut out a couple of plates on the plasma torch. Do a little test fit here, and it looks like, oh, these are gonna work perfect. got both sides. We got a plate there. And we got our plate there. Not really the prettiest welds, but they'll definitely hold. What was the torque spec on these? I don't know. That. Wow, look at that. Diff in. Got all our bolts tightened. I'll probably fix the exhaust later, but let's check it out. Oh yeah, so good. Proper. You know what? I'm just gonna fix that exhaust right now. I have zero intention to run the exhaust out past the bumper. Hey, look at that. We're even FD legal past the axle. I think my next move while I'm working on the back end, let's go ahead and install our adjustable tie rods. Show you what they look like. Out with the old, in with the new. Heck yeah, those look pretty sweet. I like that they're, they kind of got a little bit of a Wisefab blue to them, even though they're not Wisefab tow rods, but these were like super killer cheap. I don't remember the price, but I want to say these were like $83 for the pair. They were crazy killer cheap, but those came out pretty good. Super easy install. If you guys know me well enough, I am a huge fan of Wisefab angle kits. I've put them on every single one of my drift cars that I've built, and every single one of my drift cars has landed me on the podium multiple times. These kits just work. I love the way they handle, and they do a really good job engineering every single one of their products. And I really can't be more excited to try out this narrow kit. This actually is different from their Pro kit. Their Pro kit replaces the lower control arm OEM knuckle. So it's an aftermarket knuckle with an aftermarket control arm. I mean, it gets like 65 degrees of angle. But this narrow kit, on the other hand, actually replaces the lower control arm. And then it has these brackets that I still have to unwrap that will bolt onto the OEM knuckle. And then I have these tie rods that will replace the OEM tie rods. It really, really saves money on the budget. It's a lot cheaper than the Pro kit. The only downside is it doesn't offer as much angle as the Pro kit. I think it only comes out to like 55 degrees of angle. But the other cool thing about the narrow kit is it actually still keeps the wheel inside somewhat of the OEM fender. So we don't have to run a big wide body kit. I knew I didn't have a lot of money to put into this car, and I didn't have money for a wide body kit. So I figured, hey, I need steering angle. Don't have money for a wide body kit. Let's try out this narrow kit and see what we can do. And I think it will be perfect for what we're doing. And also it keeps this car under $4,000. So let's get it on the car. This will definitely do. Oh, I can't wait to drive this. This is so cool. Check it out. That's rad. Yeah, see guys, see that's that piece I was telling you about that mounts on to the factory knuckle. Got a little rack stop piece here. That's actually adjusted on the most limiting amount of angle. I could probably add a little bit more angle on it. Right now it's actually on the stop. You can see there, but for right now, I haven't put the wheels on it yet, and I got to double check, make sure, because this stop right here is adjustable so that you don't run your tire into the subframe. And I know for a fact that the tire hits the subframe up there, so I'm gonna get the tire on it and then maybe make some adjustments if I can actually add more angle. But for now, just gonna leave it there. Here's the other side here. So cool. And then even the side profile view, obviously it still stays pretty tucked inside of the fender, you know, like it doesn't, the hub doesn't like hang out very far. You know, again, I'm really comparing and contrasting this kit up against this kit. I mean, you can kind of see how much the wheel hangs out on the Pro kit. This hub really stays pretty inboard. Oh, I can't wait to drive this. This is gonna be so cool. Now here's the big question. Have I made a BMW E92 drift car for under $4,000? And believe it or not, I actually have. I know I haven't done a very good job of actually posting the figures as I go in all this episode series. So here's what I'm gonna do. The next episode, before we take it to the track, I'm gonna do a whole cost breakdown, dollar for dollar, to show you exactly every dollar and penny that I've put into this car to prove that I've actually done this for under $4,000. We're definitely gonna be shredding this car. Will it break? Will it be successful? I don't know. So again, hit that like button, subscribe if you wanna see this thing shred next week. Hope to see you there.